Hello, I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and welcome to Surviving Bad, where we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Today we discuss pornography. Pornography has reached the rich, the poor, the privileged, disadvantaged, and at risk populations. Young men, women, and even children exposed to content that is the cause of terrible harm. Our guest, Caleb Thomas, has been a school counselor, worked with at risk youth, tackled bullying, and recently published a workbook, Be Porn Free. His work with youth has led him to the discovery of the dangers of porn, one of the most significant and most stigmatized risks that people face today. Caleb, welcome. Please tell us a little bit about your journey here today.
Well, first of all, Peter, I want to thank you for inviting me on your show and having the opportunity to talk about this very taboo topic that we're going to be discussing today. And so, just a little bit, my name is Caleb Thomas. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, as well as a sex and porn addictions recovery coach. And, when I got started into the mental health field, I began to notice that pornography was a problem for not just single men, not just for married men, but as well as young teenage boys, kind of entering into that puberty stage, which is from the ages of 9 to 11. And at that time, I'd started, didn't know a lot about it. And as I looked into fulfilling my CEU credits, there was an opportunity to take a 160 credit uh, unit course to become a sex and porn addictions recovery coach. And I thought, okay, this would be very helpful and beneficial in my area because of the clients I came across who struggle in those areas. And I really wanted to help those individuals become porn free.
Now I have a question for you because we talk about stigma and things people don't talk about and taboo. And the media even touts, oh, how great is it now we're talking about mental health and we're talking about these issues that people are addressing with depression and anxiety, but nobody's talking about porn. I mean, and it causes divorces, it desensitizes people to the differences between men and women and dehumanizes people's view of the human body for men and women alike. Um, yeah, and you've been in mental health and counseling for a long time. Did this seem like a natural progression to you? Did you all of a sudden start realizing it's just not a lot of people doing this out there?
Well, it certainly wasn't a natural progression. Um, I wasn't even really thinking about it, to be honest with you, Peter, until I got into working with clients through my mental health practice and realizing, like, wow, this is really uh, a major concern here that is not being addressed. And um, the thing about porn is, you have both sides. You have the individuals who think, "Oh yeah, it's great," and it's there's nothing wrong with it, and it's healthy. And then, as you mentioned, Peter, the problem is, and we can get into this uh, throughout the show, but through my studies, one of the things I also realized that porn is spiritual.
Hmm, that's interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of people really don't think about that. And so God had given that to me in realizing that it is really a spiritual battle. And so one of the reasons why young teenage boys struggle, as well as girls, men and women, adults struggle in this area because it is a spiritual battle. And again, it's something that a lot of people aren't going to talk about with that being a spiritual battle. And there's obviously some professionals out there who say, um, come, I've got this program, this will help you. But again, I will say, and people can, feel free to argue, contact me, send me an email, but it is a spiritual battle.
Now, is it a spiritual battle similar to addiction? I mean, are all the things that people encounter that become physiologically addictive and behaviorally addictive, are they all inherently rooted in spirituality, or is the porn and sex addiction of a different ilk in
Yeah,
that?
I would certainly, very great question. Um, and many times those same addictions can tie in together. And so the spiritual aspect of it, as I explain to individuals, is porn was never designed by God. It was designed of the enemy. And so one of the things that happens, Peter, is that when individuals begin watching porn, that then gives legal rights to Satan to then come in. And, the analogy I like to use is Satan's like a pit bull. You know, when a pit bull bites down on uh, a human being, they don't want to let go, right? With the mechanism that they have in their job.
Well, we're
And
going to take a short break. I want to continue this conversation. Let's take our break, and we're going to be back with Caleb. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this.
Well, because it's the best. And that's true because I've thought about that. I mean, definitely the fastest. And the biggest thing I hear most people talk about is the stability of it.
Mediacom's network is very reliable. We have a lot of programs in place that can monitor kind of issues that arise. That way we can fix them before they reach the customer.
Trust the pros. Get Extreme Internet starting at $9.99 a month for a year.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all. If I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Malware and bots and worms, oh my. The wild, wild web can be a scary and complex place. And as our digital world expands, so too are the threats. Watch out! Trojan horse. That's why at Mediacom, we take security very seriously and monitor our networks around the clock to stop threats before they can affect you. Not today, rude kid. Not all internet is created equal. We build ours to keep you connected and protected.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and we're speaking with mental health counselor, ordained minister, and author of the book Be Porn Free, Caleb Thomas. Caleb, you brought in one of the heavyweights here, Satan. I mean,
yeah,
we look at is Satan, I think you're taking it religiously, very, very plainly and directly, but is Satan also a good metaphor for people that aren't as focused on faith and religion to understand the threats to the well-being of human beings?
well, good question. The best way I could really answer that uh, is this way, Peter. Um, we were born into this world. We were born into a sinful world. Many people have heard of this story, whether they, believe in Jesus or not, that Adam ate of the forbidden fruit, sin came into the world. This world is now the domain of Satan. And so we all have the same enemy, which is Satan. We don't get a chance to choose that. Okay. So it doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. It doesn't matter what you believe in. You don't believe in anything at all. We all have the same enemy. Now, we get to choose what God we want to serve, or if we choose to not serve any God at all. And so, again, whether people know that or not, doesn't matter what they believe, Satan, he comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And he has no respect of persons, Peter. So that means he hates me just as much as he hates the individual who does not believe in the Lord. And if the Bible says he comes to kill, steal, and destroy, that's everyone. No one's exempt from that. It's not like, oh, well, you don't believe in Jesus, so you're okay with me. No, right? And so that struggle that an individual who doesn't believe in the Lord or who does believe in the Lord can still have the same struggle. Satan wants to destroy both individuals. And that's
So
how.
if we're looking at the issues that people face, whether it's substance use disorder, violence, many factors. But let's go on today's topic, the pornography and sexual exploitation, which is tied closely to human trafficking. And as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of co-occurring disorders where people do pornography and addiction and sexual things. And we see this as being very evil, very bad for people. And it's hard not to say that. I mean, I have not yet seen a study that says, hey, porn is really great for you. This is a recreational activity you should take part in because your life is going to be better. We've not seen anything to that effect. But we also know that among all the big threats to people, porn is the one that, in a sense, systemically in the counseling community and maybe in families and homes throughout America, is not the one that's discussed. God
That's
help you if you bring it up at a family meal or something like that. It has no place in healthy family interactions or with children. Why do you think it's such a untouched, sort of sanctimonious place that exists and people aren't doing much about it?
Well, great question, Peter. The first thing, what I have realized is people are embarrassed to talk about sex. And one of the things that I've come to know throughout my many years on this earth, especially growing up, just the talk of sex has been so taboo. It's like, oh, don't talk about sex. And it's like parents get scared. Oh my gosh, they're going to start talking about sex at school. Oh my gosh. And where should that conversation first start at? It should start at the home. Because if you think about it, God has designed us and we are sexual beings, you know. Uh, he's giving us a natural desire for sex his way, okay? But what happens, because it's such an embarrassment, kids will go out, they'll wonder, they'll get curious and begin thinking, okay, what is this thing called sex? My mom won't tell me about it, my dad won't tell me about it, you know, but there's their little friends and they know about it. Oh, you want to know about sex? I can tell you about sex. And here, let me show you this.
Let me
I
ask
got
you a quick
language,
question before we go to break.
certainly.
How integral has things like the internet been to giving kids a place to go and explore these sexual ideas and concepts?
It's easy as just typing in the word sex. I've dealt with clients as young as 9. They typed in the word sex, and guess what? That led them to pornography. So now I'm getting a phone call. But again, as a parent, did you talk to your child about sex? No. Why not? Well, and many of us fall guilty in that area. Why? Because we think it's so embarrassing, it's so shameful. And then many of us think, well, my kid's 9. What does he need to know about sex?
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a short break. We're going to continue on this topic because it is interesting. Stay tuned. We're going to continue our conversation with Caleb. We'll see you all after the break.
Dad, I'm not glitching.
I told you with our new Extreme Internet, it will be smooth streaming.
That's unbelievable.
Well, you better believe it, Missy.
I already finished streaming the whole second season of my show.
So start the third.
What the fast? That's really not frustrating.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You should.
I'm gonna get some ice cream. Do you want some?
With the drama-free reliability of Extreme Internet, you'll have to create your own. Get super fast internet with whole home Wi-Fi for as low as $24.99 a month for a year.
Watching MC22 is now easier than ever before. All Mediacom customers can watch local programming online anytime. Go to mc22.net, click Watch MC22, and log in with your Mediacom account. Not a Mediacom cable subscriber? Mediacom internet or phone subscribers can watch too. Your local programming leader, MC22, online at mc22.net/watch.
You told me not to talk to strangers. You told me not to cross the street without looking both ways.
You told me not to touch the stove.
You told me not to do drugs.
You told me not to drink and drive.
You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe. Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. We're with Caleb Thomas and talking about youth, mental health, the risks of pornography that are literally unchecked and accessible on computers, tablets, and smartphones to even very young children. Caleb, you have a very strong faith-based message that may turn some people off. And that's fine because the world is the world as it is.
Exactly.
But the fact of the matter is that porn needs a foothold somewhere.
Mhm.
And maybe something in the faith community. Let me know what you think. Is the faith community the place to wage this battle, to get this word out? Because it's not happening that well in the rest of the world. I mean, we tried it. We think, oh, we should legislate human trafficking. We should make things illegal. We should stop the internet. But what faith does is put the responsibility for adhering to these moral and ethical standards on the individual. It doesn't transplant it to governance and say, you make the decision for me. So is maybe what you're doing with your book and your actions a place where it might find a fertile ground for a conversation that needs to be had in America?
Well, again, I certainly hope so, Peter. And again, as I mentioned, before break, it needs to start in the church. It's a struggle from the pastors to the pews. And again, what happens many times is the enemy, as I mentioned before, Satan wants individuals who are struggling in that area, keep it a secret until it has to be exposed. And unfortunately, we're seeing this now with many prominent pastors and leaders, not to mention individuals in the entertainment industry. Where did this start from? And
faith-based leaders that I've talked to have said one of the biggest problems they have is dealing with pornography throughout the system, the leadership, and throughout the parishioners and all the people in the communities. They recognize this, but it's a very difficult one to grapple. And you take on this idea with your workbook.
Yes.
How did you determine sort of what the cadence was going to be? How you wrote the music, so to speak, behind the scenes for what you were trying to accomplish, bringing faith in this very, very fundamental idea of dealing with sex and pornography together?
Well, yes, Peter. Well, throughout my studies, God helped me to, as I mentioned before, it's not just psychological, it's not just physiological, but it's also spiritual. And so again, with that being said, if you think about, there is a root to that cause, right? Beyond the fact that, and again, look, grew up as no angel, probably just like many other individuals curious. Okay, no one's talking to me about sex, but cousins, friends, starting out, with the naked magazine. Okay, and then eventually from there, your mind then begins to wonder, okay, I saw a woman naked, but that's still not sex. That's part of it, right? Okay, I see this naked anatomy, but that's not sex. What is sex? So then the next thing is, well, hey, I've got this video, and then you'll know what sex is and how it works and how it operates, right? And so, again, after individuals watch it, that's when the enemy comes in. That's when the dopamine release comes in, okay? More of the physiological aspect of it. And now it's like, oh, that was more than just watching individuals have sex. This is a dopamine release. Becomes like a drug. It's like I'm high off this. I need to watch more. And then how the enemy comes in, that dopamine release, um, individuals start realizing, well, that's not enough. So this is how an individual can go from watching heterosexual porn to lesbian porn to gay porn to bestiality and eventually to child porn. And again, this goes back to the scripture that Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And as you mentioned earlier, he wants to destroy families, wants to destroy marriages, wants to destroy lives. And with the embarrassment, it's like, oh, I want to take my life because I've now been exposed.
Well, we're going to take a break here. We come back. We're going to ask you to share some final comments, insights, and inspiration for our guests so they have a better idea of how to tackle the issue of sexuality in life and managing it in a positive way. See you all after the break. You don't want to miss this.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Get ready. MediaCom is now.
Mobile?
Well, not just mobile, but a 5G mobile network with reliability you can count on.
Really?
Just check out this map. Coast-to-coast coverage, plus hundreds of free extreme hotspots. It's an unbeatable network, and we've got some unbeatable prices too.
But I love this phone.
Easy. Keep your phone when you switch. And guess what? You'll love it even more. MediaCom Mobile. Learn more today.
Welcome back. Today on Surviving Bad, we explored how pornography has affected the rich, the poor, privileged, disadvantaged, and at-risk populations, young men, women, even children, exposed to content that is the cause of terrible harm. Well, let's see what insights and inspiration Caleb has to share. Caleb, let's talk about the hope and the inspiration that this book that you put together, what your hopes are for this book and how it may affect people's lives.
Yes, indeed, Peter. Well, God bless me. Throughout my studies, I didn't think I would end up going this far. It was really to help my clients, but through that, God blessed me to write a book. It's called Be Porn Free. And individuals can go and purchase that book by sending me an email at bepornfree, the number 2 at gmail.com. And so the inspiration is those listening, I just want to encourage you, doesn't matter where you are at, you can be set free. God has the answer, he has a solution, and he's using individuals such as myself to help individuals. So the other thing is I do group work with individuals. I do individual counseling with individuals as well who just need to talk about it because of the embarrassment, because of the stigma, and the shame. And I want individuals to know, don't feel ashamed, but start becoming proactive and contact me, reach out to me so you too can be porn free in the name of Jesus.
I've spoken with people that have reformed from porn addiction, and they've had other forms of addiction too, and that was one of them. And they say that, you know, as opposed to the withdrawal that they might have had from chemical dependency, and all of it's somewhat chemical with the dopamine, they said that they realized how much of the love and the life pornography took from them. Because human interaction, human love, human hugs, human touches, human conversations, and sharing space together is such a powerful instrument. It's built into us to be social creatures, and people have said that porn has been so divisive. It's taken them so far away from that and put them into these dark, closed spaces. Is that something you're noticing too as you're working with people, that they see this sort of light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, again, with the individuals I'm working with, and I thank you, Peter, for this show to let individuals know, because not enough individuals are bold enough to talk about it. So again, having these in-depth conversations will help people to understand that, hey, there's support, there's help for me. You know, I can actually be set free from this. You know, there's somebody who cares enough. And so, yes, there is the support, there is the help, there is encouragement. Here, I have a whole curriculum, and I say, at Be Porn Free, we're all about love, support, and encouragement. No judgment here.
That is a fantastic way to close the show. Caleb, thank you for being with us today. And thank you all for watching today. Check out our website, ahealthyiowa.org, and keep your eye on MediaCom MC22 for our next episode of Surviving Bad, where we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. On MediaCom MC22, your local programming leader.